I want to follow with one of our most successful videos, and the most successful video that we've produced so far is the morning huddle and the end of the day debriefing. And why has that been so important, and why have so many different offices watched it? Because it's real. It's the kind of stuff that we truly need in order to impact our practice, and for all of us just to kind of make it through the day and look forward to the next day in a more smooth way. So let's talk a little bit more about the debriefing process at the end of the day. And let me just give you a quick little summary of really what that means. You do the morning huddle, you talk about the patients, and at the end of the day, typically what happens in the dental office is everybody scatters. 5 o'clock comes, 6 o'clock comes, boom, everybody's gone. And all of the aggravation and all of the challenges and all the problems that you had during the day, you don't really get a chance to talk about them. Everybody leaves, and by the time the morning comes, everybody's kind of forgotten about all the little tiny things that were pecking at them. The debriefing is like one of the most important things. The military uses it all the time. Major businesses use it all the time. And we should start to use it inside our dental office as well. So let's talk about some of the steps about that. So when do we do the debriefing? At the end of the day. Who's involved in the debriefing? Everyone in the office. That includes the admins, it includes the dental assistants, the hygienists, the lab technicians, and all of the doctors. They have to be there. So what's kind of the process? Well, it's usually kind of led initially by the doctor, and the doctor is going to talk about his schedule or her schedule. And you're going to go patient by patient. And what the doctor is going to say is that, we saw Mrs. Jones at 8 o'clock this morning for crown prep. Everything was going along well. I asked for a particular diamond because I didn't see any more inside my drawer. There were no diamonds there. That gave me a little bit of frustration. The dental assistant had to go run for the diamonds, and it became a little bit of a problem. So what does that really give you an opportunity to do? It gives you an opportunity to start to create a checklist. So why do we need a checklist? Because we're a dental office and we know exactly how things are supposed to be done. Checklists are used all the time. In fact, when you get ready to fly a plane, any place in the world, the pilots in the front of the plane are going through a checklist, and they've flown that plane thousands of times, and they still go through a checklist. You need to do exactly the same thing in your office. If you're going to be going on a camping trip and you want to make sure you got enough camping supplies and food and so forth, you start to create a checklist so that at the end of in preparation for the trip, before you leave on the trip, you're going to have a checklist. You're going to make sure you have everything. And at the end of the camping trip, if you forgot something, you're going to add that particular item to your checklist so that when you go on your next camping trip, everything is good. It's exactly what needs to happen in a dental office with dental procedures. So whatever your technique is for crowns or doing fillings or whatever you're doing, there's a certain set of instruments, an armamentarium, that's what we called it when we learned about it in school. So you have an armamentarium which includes supplies, an armamentarium which includes instruments, different handpieces, different diamonds. You need to have all of that stuff. You need to make sure that you have anesthetic. You need to make sure you have certain types of needles. All of that needs to be all laid out there. So when the patient gets seated and you and the doctor or the doctor and the dental assistant get ready to work, they're not looking for anything. That's what a checklist is for. It makes it easier for the dental assistant, it makes it easier for the flow, and it lowers the frustration of the doctors, whose frustration ultimately gets vented to those that are there to support him, which are typically the dental assistants and administrative assistants. So the checklist needs to be done. So how does that process actually really go? Well, I like to use this idea of a talking stick. So sometimes talking sticks are physical, where there's actually like a pole or something like that. And you may have heard of things like this. Sometimes the talking stick is symbolic, where each person has a chance to speak uninterrupted without 10 other people piling in. That order about the checklist and the debriefing at the end of the day becomes a very, very important order. The checklist, the debriefing, each person's voice being heard, each person contributing to trying to make the office a better place. You're going to find out within a couple of weeks of doing the debriefing, creating checklists, allowing everybody to be heard, using a talking stick, whether physically or kind of symbolically, will make such a huge difference on the flow of your day. It'll lower your stress. Everybody gets out of there sooner or exactly on time with no stress added to the day because the day has been very systematically arranged. So what's the important thing here? Morning huddles are fantastic, but without a debriefing at the end of the day, without creating checklists to make the debriefing worth something, without hearing everybody's voice, you're going to have a very, very rough time as a career in dentistry. So avoid it. Do morning huddles, do afternoon debriefings, create checklists, and hear everybody's voice. They truly want to help the office run smoothly. They've got great ideas.